In a vast galaxy ruled by countless alien civilizations, humans were often seen as weak and insignificant. They had only recently joined the Coalition fleet, a powerful alliance of advanced species exploring and protecting the stars. Most members of the fleet barely noticed humans, treating them as little more than passengers. That is, until Blue appeared. No one knew where Blue had come from or how they arrived aboard the flagship so suddenly. Blue was different from the humans anyone had met before, quiet but confident, with eyes that seemed to see beyond what others could. From the moment Blue stepped onto the bridge, the air changed. The alien crew members watched closely as Blue began interacting with their technology, handling controls that even some veterans struggled to understand. Blue's fingers moved with ease, adapting quickly to complex alien systems as if they were second nature. Curiosity mixed with suspicion filled the room. Many wondered how a human could master such advanced technology so fast. Some whispered about secret human training or hidden gifts, while others doubted if Blue was even truly human. Despite the doubts, Blue never boasted or demanded attention. Instead, they observed, learned, and quietly proved their value by fixing a malfunction in the ship's engine that had baffled the engineers for days. This act surprised everyone. Commanders who once ignored humans began watching Blue more closely, unsure whether to welcome or fear this new presence. At the same time, Blue faced challenges. Not all crew members were ready to accept a human as an equal. Some openly questioned Blue's loyalty or ability to contribute to the Coalition's difficult missions. Blue had to navigate these unspoken tensions carefully, knowing that one wrong move could push them away forever. Yet Blue remained calm and focused, showing patience and determination. In private moments, Blue reflected on the strange journey that brought them here, in unknown past and a future filled with uncertainty. Blue understood that their presence could change how humans were seen across the galaxy, but that change would not come easily. As the flagship prepared to jump to a new sector, the eyes of the entire fleet quietly followed Blue. Wondering what this unexpected human would do next, was Blue a symbol of hope or a spark of trouble? No one could tell. Yet, but one thing was certain: the galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more than what anyone had expected. The Coalition fleet was on a routine mission, exploring an uncharted system on the edge of known space, when the unexpected happened. Sensors suddenly picked up a hostile fleet unlike any they had faced before. This alien species was known throughout the galaxy for its technological superiority: ships faster than light, weapons that could tear through shields, and defenses that seemed impenetrable. The Coalition fleet quickly moved into battle formation, confident in their usual tactics and advanced weapons. But as the first shots were fired, it became clear that their traditional strategies were failing. The enemy anticipated their moves, outmaneuvered them, and struck with deadly precision. Panic began to spread among the officers, and the fleet's commanders debated frantically over what to do next. Then, from the back of the room, Blue quietly stepped forward. Calm and focused, Blue suggested a different plan, one that did not rely on overwhelming firepower or brute force, but instead on unpredictable moves and rapid adaptability traits humans had developed over millennia. Blue's ideas seemed risky and unorthodox, something the fleet had never tried before. Some officers scoffed, unwilling to trust a human's judgment, but with no better options left, they gave Blue a chance. Blue quickly coordinated teams to modify existing systems using the ship's technology in new ways that surprised everyone. Instead of charging headlong into battle, Blue advised a slow, careful dance feints, sudden retreats, and unpredictable shifts in position. The fleet moved like never before, confusing the enemy and forcing them to waste energy chasing illusions. Blue's plan bought the fleet precious time and space to regroup. Slowly but surely, the tide of battle shifted. The hostile fleet grew frustrated, unable to keep up with the strange tactics. What had seemed like a hopeless situation turned into a remarkable display of human resilience and quick thinking. Even the most cynical officers, who had doubted Blue from the start, found themselves watching in amazement. They began to question the old assumptions about humans being weak. or unprepared for the galaxy's challenges. The fleet's commanders openly praised Blue's leadership, and some crew members whispered that humans might have hidden strengths they had never understood, yet the victory was not without cost. The fleet had taken damage, and the hostile species retreated with threats to return stronger. Blue knew this was only the beginning. The battle had revealed a new kind of warfare, one where brains and creativity could outmatch pure technology. As the fleet made repairs and prepared to move on, Blue quietly reflected on the fragile line between victory and disaster. The galaxy was full of dangers, but Blue believed that human ingenuity and resilience would be powerful weapons in the challenges ahead. And for the first time, many in the Coalition began to believe it too. The fleet was deep in uncharted space, scanning distant stars and mapping unknown worlds, when suddenly the calm shattered. Alarms blared across the flagship as sensors detected an approaching fleet unlike any the Coalition had faced before, a hostile alien species with a reputation for unmatched technological power. Their ships moved like shadows, faster than expected, armed with weapons that could breach nearly any shield, leaving little time to react. The Coalition commanders ordered their forces into standard battle formation, relying on tried-and-true tactics that had served them well in countless skirmishes. But this time, their strategies fell apart quickly. Enemy ships anticipated every move, weaving through the Coalition fleet with deadly precision. Disabling ships before they could fire a single shot, panic started to spread among the officers. Every plan seemed to fail before it even began. In the midst of chaos, Blue remained calm, observing quietly. Then, with a voice steady but firm, Blue stepped forward to suggest a new approach, one that did not depend on overwhelming firepower or the latest technology, but on unpredictable, flexible tactics rooted in human ingenuity and resilience. Blue proposed using their ships in smaller, more agile groups, making quick, erratic maneuvers that would confuse the enemy's targeting systems, combined with unexpected retreats that forced the hostile fleet to waste energy chasing shadows. The suggestion was met with skepticism. Many officers doubted a human could provide a viable solution when advanced alien minds had failed. Still, desperate for answers, the commanders gave Blue permission to lead a small task force to test this unconventional strategy. Blue immediately coordinated the crew to adapt ship systems, rewiring controls to prioritize speed and agility. Over brute strength, fleet shifted from rigid formations to a fluid dance, darting in and out of the enemy's range in ways the hostile aliens could not predict. Blue's teams used minor but clever electronic tricks, sending false signals and hacking briefly into enemy systems to create confusion. It was a battle unlike any the Coalition had fought before, less about sheer firepower and more about outsmarting a superior force through clever moves and quick thinking. Slowly the tide began to turn. The enemy grew frustrated, their confidence shaken by the unexpected resistance. The Coalition ships, guided by Blue's quick decisions, managed to avoid destruction and even disable some enemy vessels. On the bridge, the most cynical officers watched in disbelief as their old ideas about humans crumbled before their eyes. Blue had shown them a new way to fight, proving that human creativity and adaptability could be more valuable than raw technology. When the hostile fleet finally withdrew, it was clear that the Coalition owed their survival to Blue's bold plan. The victory came with a heavy cost. Several ships were damaged, and the enemy's threat remained. But more importantly, something had changed in the minds of the fleet. Humans were no longer seen as weak or unprepared. Instead, they were beginning to be viewed as unpredictable and clever allies. Whispers spread through the ranks that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy had underestimated humanity's true potential. As repairs began and the fleet prepared to continue their mission, Blue quietly reflected on the battle. It was a harsh reminder that the galaxy was full of dangers that could not be faced with strength alone. Blue knew that survival would depend on the ability to think differently, to use every resource, including human resilience and ingenuity, to overcome challenges. And for the first time, Blue felt a growing sense of purpose, to show the Coalition that humans were not just another species in the galaxy, but a force to be reckoned with. The stars awaited, full of unknown threats and possibilities, and Blue was ready to face them head-on. As Blue's actions during the recent battles spread through the Coalition fleet, respect for the human grew steadily among the crew. It's no longer just the token human. Blue became a symbol of hope and change, and many species, each with their own traditions, languages, and cultures, started to seek Blue's friendship and advice. Blue's quiet strength and open mind allowed connections to form across even the widest cultural gaps. From the stoic, logical Drawcon to the empathetic but cautious Serenth, Blue found ways to listen and understand, often surprising others by asking questions no one else thought to ask. It was not just technology or skill that made Blue stand out, but a rare ability to empathize and see the bigger picture beyond narrow interests. This unique perspective encouraged cooperation where once there had been suspicion or rivalry. The crew began to realize that traits humans prize, creativity, emotional intelligence, adaptability, were just as vital as advanced technology when facing unknown dangers and complex politics. Through informal gatherings in the mess halls, quiet conversations during long shifts, and shared missions, Blue bridged divides that years of diplomacy had failed to close. However, this growing influence also stirred unease among some Coalition leaders. Certain factions, deeply invested in maintaining the established order, saw Blue's rise as a threat to their power and traditions. They whispered in dark corners, plotting ways to undermine Blue's reputation, painting the human as a wildcard who could disrupt the delicate balance between species. Rumors began to spread claims that Blue was too unpredictable. Human emotions could cloud judgment, or that Blue's growing alliances could lead to dangerous changes in leadership. Blue sensed these undercurrents, but remained focused, refusing to be drawn into petty politics. Instead, Blue continued to work quietly, earning trust through actions rather than words. Yet the tension grew, and subtle attempts to block Blue's access to resources or information became harder to ignore. Blue's closest allies warned of hidden dangers lurking beneath the surface, reminding that every step forward came with resistance. Despite these challenges, Blue's determination never faltered. The human knew that breaking barriers was never easy, especially when old fears and prejudices clung tightly. Blue's resolve was fueled by the belief that unity was the Coalition's greatest strength, and that together it could face the galaxy's unknown threats more effectively than any one species alone. As new missions loomed and tensions simmered, Blue prepared to navigate not just the vastness of space, but the complex web of alliances and rivalries within the fleet itself. The question was no longer whether humans belonged, but how much they would shape the future. And Blue was ready to lead that change, knowing that every connection made, every barrier broken, was a step toward a stronger, more united Coalition. The Coalition, after months of uneasy peace and quiet exploration, suddenly faced a threat so grave that it shook every member to the core. An ancient enemy, long believed to be a legend, emerged from the dark reaches of space, an unstoppable force with weapons capable of wiping out entire planets in moments, and ships that could cloak themselves beyond detection. Panic rippled through the fleet as reports came in of entire colonies falling silent, swallowed by this relentless destroyer. The Coalition's commanders scrambled to form a plan, but no usual tactics or overwhelming firepower seemed to work against this menace. It was clear that they were facing an enemy far beyond anything they had ever encountered. In the midst of the crisis, the decision was made. Blue, the human whose courage and cleverness had already changed many minds, would lead the most vital mission yet in operation, designed to infiltrate the enemy's stronghold and disable their central weapon system before it could strike again. Many doubted the wisdom of placing such responsibility on a human, but the urgency of the situation left no time for hesitation. Blue accepted the challenge without hesitation, knowing that failure would mean disaster not only for humanity, but for every species in the Coalition. As Blue assembled a diverse team of the fleet's best pilots, engineers, and strategists, the human leader's calm confidence began to spread among the crew. The journey to the enemy's heart was perilous traps, ambushes, and near impossible. Obstacles awaited at every turn, but Blue's quick decisions and ability to adapt kept the team one step ahead. Where alien technology relied on brute force, Blue relied on thinking differently, turning weaknesses into advantages and using the environment to their favor. Along the way, Blue inspired the crew to trust in their own unique skills and work, together as one, forging bonds that crossed species and old rivalries. The final assault was a test of endurance and willpower. The enemy's defenses seemed impenetrable, and every second counted as the destructive weapon prepared to fire. Yet Blue's leadership shone brightest under pressure, remaining calm. While others feared, Blue pushed the team to coordinate precise strikes and daring maneuvers that none believed possible. In the crucial moment, Blue's human tenacity and unyielding refusal to give up despite the odds turned the tide. The enemy's weapon was disabled, and their fleet forced to retreat, stunned by a victory they had not expected from a species they once ignored. The mission earned Blue and humanity a hard-won place of honor within the Coalition. For the first time, the galaxy truly saw humans not as underdogs or mere tokens, but as vital defenders capable of facing the darkest threats. Blue's triumph marked a turning point, proving that strength was not just measured by technology or power, but by courage, resilience, and the ability to unite diverse forces in the face of destruction. As the fleet celebrated their survival, Blue quietly reflected on the cost and the responsibility that now came with victory. The galaxy remained dangerous and full of unknown challenges, but humanity's hidden strengths had been revealed at last. Blue was determined to lead the way forward into a future where no one was underestimated again. With the enemy defeated and the galaxy momentarily safe, the Coalition held a grand assembly unlike any before, where leaders from countless species gathered to recognize the bravery and sacrifice that had saved them all. Among the honored stood Blue, the human who had once been dismissed as a mere token, now celebrated as a true hero and symbol of humanity's remarkable qualities. The journey from outsider to valued ally had not been easy. Blue had faced suspicion, doubt, and even hostility, but never once had that shaken the resolve to prove what humans could offer. Adaptability, courage, heart traits, often overlooked in a galaxy that valued advanced technology above all, had turned out to be the very strengths that made humans invaluable partners in the ongoing struggle for survival. As speeches praised Blue's leadership and the human spirit, many in the crowd whispered among themselves, wondering what other surprises humanity might hold. Blue, however, remained humble, knowing that this victory was just one step on a long road ahead. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries still waiting to be uncovered, with old enemies retreating but not gone, and new challenges emerging on the horizon. The Coalition fleet prepared to push further into the unknown. Blue stood on the bridge of the flagship, surrounded by a crew made up of many species, all united by a common goal and newfound respect for what humans brought to the table. The stars outside beckoned with endless possibilities and dangers alike, but the crew faced them with hope and determination. Blue's presence had changed not only the fleet, but also the way the galaxy viewed humanity, no longer a minor player, but a vital force capable of shaping the future. As the flagship powered up its engines for the next jump into deep space, Blue allowed a small, satisfied smile. The story of humanity was only just beginning, and Blue was ready to lead the way. Confident that the unexpected strengths of humans would continue to surprise and inspire across the stars for years to come,